Hello everybody, my name's Chris. Today's a special day here on the channel as I'm about to review an ESP Custom Shop guitar. This is the very first for me. Unfortunately it's not my own, but we'll talk about that later. Enjoy the video! Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back to the channel. Now, like I said in the beginning, today we're talking about an ESP Custom Shop guitar. This belongs to my good buddy Andy, and if you've been to the channel before, you might have seen my video on two original Ibanez Universes from the 1990s. If not, check that out. Those were also his guitars. The dude has a crazy collection of guitars, and yeah, today he gave me this to check out, to play, and man, it's just something else. It's really fucking cool. Now what we have here, and as you can see again, this is an ESP, and the body shape suggests this is the Forest model. Now the Forest model, and I didn't even notice that over the years because I don't pay a lot of attention, comes in, you know, a different variety of shapes. There have been slight adjustments made over the years, but they all belong to the same Forest family. So the more recent one that I think most people are familiar with is the one that doesn't have the cutout down here, you know, the one that looks a lot like the FRX model. But this one in particular here has been showing up over the years again and again in Edwards guitars, and especially in signature models. So this particular Forest model I've seen in a George Lynch signature guitar that is very sought after from what I gathered. More recently it is the Fred Leclerc signature bass. Tom Araya had a signature bass a couple of years ago that featured that particular Forest shape. So this is pretty cool. This is rather rare. I mean, it's a custom shop, right? It's a one of a kind, but the shape itself is not something you see all the time. So that is pretty cool. Now what makes this even cooler, considering, like I said, this is the Forest shape, is that the headstock shape is the one that you would usually see on the Horizon series guitars, or maybe the M series. So this is pretty cool, and like in ESP guitar world, this is my favorite headstock shape. I wish more of my LTDs and ESPs had that particular one. This is so cool. I mean, ESP have a couple of, you know, famous headstock shapes, including the, you know, the banana one that nobody gets other than George Lynch these days. But yeah, this is my personal favorite, so that's pretty cool. Now setup wise, what is to say about the guitar? You know, it is rather basic if you consider this, you know, your regular shred ESP guitar. You have your Floyd Rose, tone, volume, three-way selector, two humbuckers, locking tuners, boom. So yeah, whoever ordered this guitar from the Nagano Custom Shop, you know, they clearly wanted a rather standard setup, but for them it was more important to have this particular body shape with this headstock. As you can see, no fancy doodads, no Sustainiac, no nothing, not even really, you know, customized inlays or whatever. So yeah, this is rather basic in its purest form, but it just works. The Floyd Rose is of course an original Floyd Rose, although I guess you could swap this, but yeah, this is still the original one that came with the order of the guitar. And then we have two EMG 81s in here right now, although the neck one has been disconnected. So yeah, this makes this right now even more shreddy, as only the bridge pickup works, which is great. You know, I don't care. Like, I'm just happy to be able to play this. And EMG 81, I love that. I said it so many times over the years. EMG 81, 85 this is my religion, and I don't need anything else, so this is great. So what else is there really to say about the guitar? I mean, inlay wise, you have your standard dots, although they're not centered. As you can see, they're on the side, which I really enjoy. Dot inlays are not my favorite. If I would have custom ordered this, this would have been with, you know, the sawtooth inlays from the Alexis or whatever, which I think are just cooler, but whatever. If it's dot inlays, put them on the side and I'm cool. So this I really enjoy. You have your standard, your black finish, your piano black, as well, on the front as well as on the back. The neck is also lacquered and has the same finish. So again, like nothing really super special about this, just a working thing that looks pretty dang metal. Now, when I was asked if I wanted to check out the guitar, I didn't know if I had to expect like a proper case queen that had never been played. You had to be super careful with it. And I mean, of course, you have to be careful with a guitar like this. But I was very happy to find that this is a real working horse of a guitar. Like there are already a couple dings here and there. This has seen some action. And, personally for me, I like that a lot more about a guitar when it has some actual history. Case queens are a cool, beautiful thing, like in a store when it's shiny and new. But I like me a good, worn-in tool of sorts. So yeah, this looks still awesome, and you won't find a lot of stuff. But there's a slight bit up here where the horn has lost the tiniest bit of finish, and it gives it even more of a custom vibe, I think. So overall playability and feel of this, it is, of course, it feels like an ESP guitar, because of course, why wouldn't it, right? I have been playing ESP guitars since pretty much 19 or 18 years now. So very shortly after I started playing guitars, like in general. So I was immediately familiar with how this feels, how this plays, like how heavy it is, all of that. That being said, of course it plays like butter. It plays fantastic. It is very quick. It is very smooth. You could immediately feel that this is the highest end of high end. There's nothing on here that makes you think, oh, this could be better, because it is literally fucking perfect, right? So I was actually, I was a bit afraid of what I could expect from playing a custom shop for the first time, because in my mind I was like, okay, is this gonna be so good that I need to sell all my other shit in order to be able to afford one of these, or am I gonna be disappointed that it isn't as good as I think it's gonna be? And for me personally, the truth is somewhere in the middle. So when I got this then out of the case for the first time, I immediately knew what it was all about. I'm so familiar with the feel and the weight and just the playability of ESP guitars that this was just the ultimate version of that. And I knew how fast I could play with it. I knew what parts I would still struggle with in certain songs. It was just, it's like coming home, only it's a very fancy home now. And I could immediately tell that, this is not gonna give me an extra 20% of anything right now. I'm not gonna be faster, I'm not gonna play tighter. This is not gonna make me able to finally pull off that 6-string tapping sweep that I've been trying to learn for years. Thank you, Winner-san. But it is just a very, very reliable, awesome looking, professional, great touring instrument. And now the real big question is, of course, for me and maybe for you, considering the size of shows that I'm doing, considering the studio work that I'm doing, considering pretty much my entire career of playing guitar, would it make sense for me to spend somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 on a custom shop instrument? And I'm not even sure if I'm sad or happy about this, but my ultimate answer is no. There's no doubt about that this feels better than 90% of the stuff that I own. But again, it won't give me the ability boost that maybe some people think an instrument like this will give you. It is an investment, and it makes sense if you just, if you want to have something, just go for it. You do with your money whatever you want to do. If you want to have something special, if you want to have something unique, if you want to have something reliable. That being said, there are loads of other instruments, including ESP's very own LTD 1000 series or whatever, that can give you the same thing or a similar thing. Let's put it like that, a similar thing. I've played so many of my LTDs and ESPs on a variety of stage sizes, literally going from shitty ass bar, youth centers to big festival stages. None of them ever shit the bed. Like, and I'm not saying this in order to, lick ESP's boots or anything. It's just they are reliable instruments. And this would be probably the most reliable one, depending on the setup and whatever. And in the studio with me, I have so many other reliable guitars that I could replace should happen something to them. Which, with a one of a kind like this one, I could not do. So for me personally, right now, again, it would not be an option to order something like this or purchase a custom shop in order to bring it on stage or to have it in the studio. I'm good with the stuff that I have that, comes from the factory. But ultimately, and I think this will probably kind of be the goal for many a guitar player, maybe some years down the line, to when there's loads of money in the bank account all of a sudden from wherever, you're going like, you know what, I'm gonna have one made that is gonna be the forever instrument that I'm gonna take real good care of and that only comes out, for birthdays or whatever. So who knows, maybe in the future. I don't even know if someone would hand me like 10 grand now and he'd go for a custom shop. I wouldn't even know what to do really. I think I would have either an Horizon model or like an SV made, but then it would look probably very similar to, the stuff that has already been released by ESP. So I'm guessing I would be the kind of signature artist where you would go, man, this is fucking boring. It's just your regular Horizon with a cool graphic or whatever. So yeah, I guess that would be me. But whatever, goes to show that ESP, and not only ESP, other companies as well, just make good stuff, even though it is kind of, stock and you can get it wherever. So thank you again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this little look at this wonderful ESP Custom Shop, I guess Forest, from the Nagano factory. This was a blast, and I want to thank Andy real quick again that I was, allowed to make a review for this guitar. If you enjoy old school death metal, check out his band Cadaverous Stench. They're a bunch of cool dudes. I played with them in the past. I love the guys. I just recorded a solo for them for their upcoming single. So yeah, you can find a Cadaverous Stench on, Spotify and the socials and everywhere. If you're an ESP fan and you enjoyed this particular video, go check out the channel. There's more LTD ESP stuff on there. I reviewed the H1000, which is an LTD Deluxe. Alexi 600, in my opinion, one of the greatest signature instruments ever. But I'm a big Bodum fan, so E2 FRX, which I'll be using on tour very soon. So I like ESP stuff, and I'm not saying that because I don't have any affiliation with them, whatever. Unfortunately, I just bought their stuff over the years so often and was never disappointed. So yeah, I do this for free. And I wouldn't tell you that I like their instruments if I didn't really like them. So yeah, if you're, like I said, an ESP fan, you will find more content on here that might interest you. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope to see you in a future video on here. Let me know your thoughts on custom shops. Do you have one? Do you plan on owning one? From what company? Like, how long did you wait for your order to be, to go through? I've read everything from 1 year to like 10 years, depending on the brand where you ordered from. A super interesting topic, I think, that not many people, because of the price tag, like, don't really look into. And I wouldn't have really looked into it if it wasn't for this. So, yeah, let me know all about it. If you have any stories, put them in the comments and I'll make sure to reply. My name's Chris. This is a freaking custom shop. And that's that.